Talk about whatever the fuck you want to talk about. No one can stop you from saying anything, and anyone can get it for free. There's never been anything like this before.
I remember when I started doing my web show, you were probably one of the first guests that came and did it, and it was a while ago now, it was 4 years ago.
That was so fun. I couldn't, but you were very inspirational to me. You were, and as I told you, I even talked to some of the people that did your web show, but about doing one, because I was like, wow, Tom, he broke off from the grid. You connected on your own.
Well, I remember you were one of the first guests that I had that actually really connected with the whole bigger picture of what we were doing. And we had, I remember there's some video flying around on YouTube of you, I think there was a news crew there or something that night, and you were talking about that. Is that freedom something that you think that's why you're embracing the podcasting?
100%. Everything that I've ever done that's ever been annoying in Hollywood was because too many people had a say. When you're doing any sort of a creative project, whether you're trying to do a television show or whether you're trying to make a movie, whatever it is, there's always going to be a bunch of people, if money's involved, a bunch of other people that have their say. No. And it gets annoying because they're not necessarily right, but they want to change it. They want to make it theirs. They want to put their fingerprints on it. They want to get into it. And there's people who aren't necessarily really creative, and a lot of them are responsible for shaping these shows. And it's basically to their taste and their ideas. And some of the conversations you have with them are fucking maddening.
Yeah.
Craziness. This is a scene, Doug Stanhope and I had to do this thing for the Man Show, and it was a game show. And the game show was called Make Me Hard. And this is what it was. We would put a guy, and he had an electronic box over his junk, and he would be laying back, and it would light up whenever he supposedly got an erection, when we decided he should have an erection. So it was typical shit, like a midget eating a banana, and then he'd get a hard on. Or we had this one, it was a tranny, and the tranny looked exactly like a woman. I mean, she was beautiful, he, she, whatever, fucking gorgeous. And she had a dick that was like a monkey's dick that had been poisoned. And it looked like how monkeys' dicks are just black and fucked up looking. And that's what. And the rest of her was white, but her dick was black. And I'm not exaggerating at all. It was so strange. And so this is how we saw it. So these guys are lying down, they have this box over their penis, and the midget eats the banana, and the light goes off, hee hee ha ha. And then she starts dancing, and everybody's going crazy, the crowd's going nuts. She puts whipped cream on her fake breasts, which are male breasts, by the way, that have implants in them. And the guy's sucking the whipped cream off the male breast. And then she pulls it out. She pulls out the dick of death.
I can't see why the censors would have had a problem.
They didn't have a problem with that. What they had a problem with was the name Hard. They said, we need to call the show Make Me Stiff. This was a fucking argument that we had. This was a real argument. Hard's a funnier word, and it's the same thing. No. It's offensive. It's offensive. It's offensive. I want to fucking kill you all. It was just a crazy conversation, and it's not just one of them. There's dozens of them, and it's all basically the same thing. It's all, I want the color blue. Well, I think the color red is easier on the eyes, and then it's a fucking dog pile. And you compromise left and right, and you never know exactly if what gets out there is your real vision. And you're doing it, and you see it, and it gets done. You're like, what the fuck was that? That's not even what we wanted to do. Yeah. It just became this mess. You can't do that with a podcast. With a podcast, there is no other person. That's it.
It's
That's
probably much closer to stand-up comedy then.
It's exactly like stand-up comedy. It's exactly the same thing, except it's way even freer because you don't have to be funny all the time. There's a lot of things that we talk about that aren't funny at all. They're just fascinating. If there's ever some crazy story in the news or there's some new scientific discovery, a lot of that stuff's not funny at all. So
where do you have to be? Where do you because you're always talking about things like this, all sorts of different topics and interesting. Where do you get all your information from? First of all, do you read books or do you get it mostly from the internet?
All three: books, documentaries, and the internet. Musually most of the time it's websites. Most of the time it's websites, but then the websites will mention certain books, and I'll read the book, depending on what the subject is, how much I'm completely transfixed by it.
I almost picked up a book today, The Secret History of NASA, the conspiracies of NASA, the moon landing.
Ooh.
Getting to my first question here. This is my first question.
You have paper that you write your questions out on?
Just a few little notes. Just a few notes. We've already covered a couple of them. The Man Show, Doug Stanhope. What was it like starting out in that working with Doug Stanhope.
That was awesome. Working with Doug was awesome.
That was question number 10 I had there.
You got there. And the people that we work with, by the way, even though I'm yelling about them, they were all very nice people.
Yeah.
It's not that they're wrong, that they're shitty. It's just that too many cooks in the kitchen just fucks up the soup.
Yeah, it's hard with comedy. And it's
terrible.
Yeah. But now the moon landing now here. Now, do you think that I'm actually not sure what your belief is on this.
Well, you and me both.
Are you unsure? Do you believe that there's a
I am not convinced that we went to the moon, nor am I convinced that we didn't go to the moon. My position is I am not, when I look at the information, when I look at, like, what's really creepy is watching the interviews when the guys come back. They do this post-flight interview from Apollo 11, and it's the strangest thing, because they're so clearly lying. They're being deceptive. Like, the things they're saying, they're like these little facial tics, and it's really weird, you know? And if you were a conspiracy theorist and you looked at that, you'd be like, well, what are they being deceptive about? What are they talking about? Why is it so strange? And that's just instincts. That's just silliness, and you couldn't prove anything by that. But then you look at the fact that no one's been back since 1972. And I know a lot of people think, well, you know, why go back? We went there in the first place. Well, because we're always finding shit there. We're always finding things like ice, and there's always, like, you know, questions about what kind of minerals are there. Could we profit from mining there? And then you find out that we have never left 400 miles above the Earth's surface, except those Apollo missions. Every single space shuttle mission, every space station, that shit is all inside 400 miles.
Yeah.
Those are the only people that ever went past that. They went 260,000 miles out and back. If there was any solar activity, any solar flare, anything crazy, they're dead. They're dead on TV in front of everybody.
I always wonder about why there's not a picture of the flag that they've taken from. Didn't the Japanese just send a satellite around?
They can't get that close yet, supposedly, with the technology they have. The Lunar Reconnaissance Orbiter did get photos of the ground where, you know, the Apollo was, but it's very non-distinct. It's very difficult to tell what it is. It's like, you know, a pixel.
Yeah.
So who knows? It doesn't mean we went or we didn't, and it doesn't mean that what that is the Apollo. It could be one of those unmanned probes that they sent there. The Russians sent a bunch of unmanned probes and even came back and collected moon rocks with unmanned probes. Like, another argument is, well, we put laser reflectors on the moon. Maybe, but, you know, so did the Russians. They did it with unmanned probes. They did it twice. We have a laser reflector we can shoot up there and it beams back. This is what people have to understand. When all this was going on, even though it sounds like it's preposterous that anybody could ever pull off a lie of this magnitude, when all this was going down, Kennedy had been murdered just a few years before. Nobody got arrested for that. Nobody ever went to jail for that. I mean, if you believe Lee Harvey Oswald acted alone, you know, you think that he got his justice.
This is one of my questions too. Who shot JFK?
But, you know, this was a time where the government was very deceptive. This is the Nixon administration. This was, you know, this was the Gulf of Tonkin incident when we, you know, there was a fake attack on American civilians that literally led us into the Vietnam War. So there was a lot of deception going on. This was also during the time of Operation Northwoods, which was that CIA, it was a Freedom of Information Act release document where the Joint Chiefs of Staff drafted up a memo in 1962 trying to get people enthusiastic about a war with Cuba by attacking Americans and blaming it on the Cubans. They were going to attack Guantanamo Bay. They were going to blow up an American. They were going to drain the people out of it. Make it remote control plane, a jetliner, and blow it up and say that the Cubans killed a bunch of people. They were going to do this, and they were going to attack Guantanamo Bay. They were going to lob mortars at Guantanamo Bay, and they were going to do all this so that the American people would get behind us attacking Cuba. This is all real shit that went down in the 1960s.
Sure.
So you look at all that deception, and you look at the weirdness with the moon landings. All the telemetry data missing, everything, all the binary data that shows the distance from the Earth to the moon, all that shit is missing. The blueprints.
Yeah, they lost the videotapes.
They lost everything. They lost all the original tapes.
You would have thought they would have.
There's so many photographs where it look like these people are standing in a fucking spotlight. All right, it looks fake. I mean, it's a terrible thing to say it looks fake. Then the Mythbusters do this thing about it, and they say, you know, one of the big stipulations is the flag. The flag is, in certain videos, it looks like it's blowing in the breeze. And they say, well, that's crazy. It can't be the moon because the moon has no atmosphere. And so they said, well, actually, every time it was blowing, it looked like it was blowing the breeze. What it actually was the astronaut was touching it, and because they're in a vacuum, it just moves very freely, and it looks like a breeze, which totally makes sense as long as no one's touching it. But there's a video from Apollo 15 where an astronaut hops in front of the flag, and as he's passing well in front of the flag, 6-7 feet in front of it, it starts wiggling in the breeze. So is there air on the moon? No. Is there air where this is happening with this astronaut and the flag? It appears so. So what does that mean? Does that mean that they faked the moon landing? No, but it might mean that they faked a lot of the video footage. They might have been able to land on the moon and not been able to make good video, and so they did a lot of weird shit. Maybe the camera's fucked up because of all the radiation, and who knows? I mean, that's a distinct possibility too. I'm no fucking scientist. But when I look at all the information, when I look at just the whole weirdness of the event, the fact that Neil Armstrong becomes this hermit after it happens and doesn't talk to anybody and goes into seclusion, Buzz Aldrin becomes an alcoholic, and then you look at them in the post-flight press conference like, these guys are lying about something. They're lying. I don't know about what. I mean, I don't know if they really didn't go to the moon. I don't know. I don't know what happened, but the whole thing smells fucked up to me.
Another thing I always find interesting about it is, you know, they were in this space race, right? They had to get there before the Russians. It was almost as if the Russians were right on their tail, would be there any second if we didn't do it.
Right.
Or, you know, if you guys didn't do it, I'm Canadian, so I can't.
Well, it's not even us guys, you know, all those guys, you guys are dead.
Yeah, but then they get there. The Russians haven't done it since. And also, if it was such a tight race, you know, to just have the technology to do it, how were they able to then bring the two rovers with them? That seems like just a little bit of the two cars.
Yeah, I don't know.
It seems a little bit like
they put that together while they were up there. I don't know. You know,
cars. You know,
there's video footage of the rovers and a lot of the other footage that's done on the moon, and it's shot at double the speed, or it's played at double the speed, and it looks like they're on Earth. And that was one of the things that people have always said, like, why are they bouncing around like that? Like, why does it look? That's not what it looked like at 1/6 the gravity. They were saying that 1/6 the gravity would actually be moving quicker because you would be really light. Like, these people are moving like they're in half speed, and so people have you know, doubled the speed, and it looks literally like they're hopping on the ground on Earth. That's what it looks like. You know, I don't know whether or not that's what it would look like if you're 1/6 Earth's gravity. I'm not a scientist, but it looks weird to me that when you speed it up, it looks normal. You know, I mean, what do I know? You know, I don't know.
I think there'd be some difference.
I think every single technological achievement from 1969 is cheaper, easier, and faster to reproduce today, except deep space travel, except going to the moon. That's the only thing. We just got to one point and we stopped, and it doesn't seem normal. It seems like if you look at every single technological achievement that human beings have, at one point in time, it starts, it comes out with one particular product, and then it evolves and becomes much better, and it gets to a certain point where the original stuff is outdated and useless.
I also find just the older I get and the more bungled things I see occur in life, like the oil leak and not being able to patch a hole in the ocean, or not being able to find Osama bin Laden, things that would seem relatively easy compared to putting a man on the moon. That's where I start to actually
Well, you know, I don't know if that
start
necessarily...
to think twice about things.
I don't know if that necessarily means anything. You know, I mean, it's very possible that there was just...
Are you texting?
Money. No, I'm pulling up a quote from... I'm pulling up a quote from...
The epitome of relaxation.
That would be so rude.
You're texting and talking at the same time. You're pulling up internet. Okay.
Yeah, I'm pulling up a quote by Bill Clinton, and this is one of the weirdest fucking quotes ever on the moon landing. Now listen to this, because this is going to trip you out. This is from his book. His book was called My Life. Mm-hmm. And this is right out of one of the chapters. Just a month before, Apollo 11 astronauts Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong had left their colleague Michael Collins aboard spaceship Columbia and walked on the moon, beating by 5 months President Kennedy's goal of putting a man on the moon before the decade was out. The old carpenter asked me if I really believed it happened. I said, sure, I saw it on television. He disagreed. He said he didn't believe it for a minute, that those television fellers could make things look real that weren't. Back then, I thought he was a crank. During my 8 years in Washington, I saw some things at TV that made me wonder if he wasn't ahead of his time.
Yeah.
That's Clinton.
You think maybe he wanted to slip that in there so in the future?
You're not supposed to say that if you're the president. That's a fucked up thing to say. You're saying, whoa, you're saying... Maybe they lied? Mm-hmm. Maybe the carpenter was right? You really said maybe the carpenter was right. You're the fucking president of the United States, and you said you saw things on television that make you think maybe we didn't put somebody on the fucking moon?
One thing that I think about when I think about why we may have done it is if we hadn't done it, wouldn't somebody like the Russians or the Germans or the Chinese or just somebody come out and said, hey,
Maybe.
That's impossible to put somebody on the moon because of the, and really get vocal about it.
Well, I mean, if you don't give them the proper information and they don't have the studies themselves, they don't have the ability to take, some sort of I don't know what they've done as far as like studying the radiation of deep space and knowing whether or not biological entities can come back and come back alive. Before they put humans out into deep space, they never even sent a fucking chicken out there and had it come back alive. They didn't know. There's a lot of like weird shit. Like they just took chances.
They tested the orbiting with a monkey.
Yeah, but not in deep space. The orbiting is all inside the Van Allen radiation belts and the magnetosphere. It's all protected by the Earth's environment. When you get outside of that, you're in fucking hostile water, son. You're in deep space.
So you really study this to a certain extent.
It's fascinating.
I've watched some videos about it, so
I've watched too many, for sure.
I've heard of the Van Allen radiation belts, and this is the one that really kind of, then you go, okay, well, is a video just a hoax? I don't like that video, a funny thing happened on the way to the moon, or the Fox video. I think that a funny thing happened on the way to the moon that was the one that talked about the Van Allen radiation.
Yes, they all talk about it. The Fox one talked about it too. There was a special on Fox, before Fox was uber conservative and known as like Fox News. There was Fox, just regular television, a special about the moon. It was called Conspiracy Theory, Did We Fake the Moon Landing?
Yeah, with all the photographic
It was
evidence.
a fucking hour-long special on Fox.
Yep.
And it got so much shit from people. Well, here's one of the things they pointed out, repeating backgrounds. Places where they were supposed to be miles and miles away from the place where they were, but yet they have the exact same background in photographs from different missions. It's like, wow, how are you? You're not there. You're not supposed to be anywhere near there. That shouldn't be your background. It looks like a goddamn movie set. It looks fake as fuck. And when you have like a massive, massive amount of money, which is, they had to have if they were running a space program, you're talking about billions of dollars. Everything's compartmentalized. At the top of the heap, only a few people need to know about it. The astronauts need to know about it. Obviously, you're going to have cameramen and technicians. They need to know about it. Everyone has to be sworn to secrecy. And you could probably pull it off. That's why they showed the video from the first mission from Apollo 11. They wouldn't even give them a direct feed. They had to film it off of a television screen. So it's being broadcasted, or a projection image, being broadcast, and they're filming this projected image.
And the quality.
And it looks like shit. It looks like shit. It looks fake as fuck. And they're hopping around. They're floating through the air. I don't know if it's real, but I don't know why everybody is so goddamn connected to it being real. Yeah. This is what weirds me out. It becomes like sort of a technological Jesus. It becomes this thing you're not supposed to question. It's like somehow or another you're a loon if you're questioning it. But there's so much pointing to it being fake. There's so much video evidence that's weird. There's video footage where it looks like it was filmed with one of those swiveling camera things. What's that called?
A jib or something, or a crane or
like
something.
A jib, yeah. I mean, it changes angle, and they supposedly had shot this thing out of the window of the LEM. Yeah. And people are like, well, hey, wait a minute, how did it turn an angle?
Yeah.
What the fuck are you doing? It's like they didn't know. So you have to think about 1969 when this is all going down, okay? There's no VCRs. There's no internet. You're going to watch this, and that's it. And no one had in their head anything that was going to be like the internet. No one thought that was going to take place. You'd have this unparalleled access to information. You'd have these photographs of people would start breaking down the light sources and go, why is there two shadows moving in two different directions here? That indicates two light sources. And people start fucking tripping out about the photos. Like, this looks weird as fuck. Like, why is he all lit up when he's in the shade? There's no atmosphere on the moon. The sun's behind him. They should be pitch black. And then people start asking questions like, how hot is it there? It's 250 degrees in the sun. What's going on with that film? What kind of film is that it can withstand 250 degrees? And why is all these photos perfectly cropped? Why do they look like someone was a professional photographer taking these fucking things when these guys are doing them out of the center of their chest with something that looks like a gun? I don't care how much you practice. You're going to get a lot of feet and heads. You're going to get a lot of cut-off shots. Why does it look like when those guys are in the shadows, it's lit up with a fill? Maybe because it is filled. And people go, well, no, it's just the topographical nature of the moon. The shadows move and it's a perspective issue. Maybe. Or maybe they use two lights. That's possible too. Sure. And people go, no, everyone looks for a conspiracy and everything, and all the evidence points to the fact that we went there. Maybe. Or maybe they faked it. That's a possible too. You know, in Holland, whatever they have over there, president or prime minister, whatever, they received a rock from Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. It was signed. It was on a plaque. Well, they recently had that rock tested. It turns out it's petrified wood.
What?
This fucking moon rock, signed with a plaque given by Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, is petrified wood. That's not bullshit. I'm not making that up. There's so much pointing to it. So much. And everybody's like, look at Rogan. He's so fucking loony with this moon shit. Like, just, when I get high and just look at it, I know this doesn't mean anything. But when I'm out on my backyard and I'm sitting in the lawn chair and I'm looking up, I'm like, no fucking way! No way! No way, bitch! I don't believe it! I believe you got real high in the sky, floated around, and came back down. You went all the way the fuck up there and drove a buggy and played golf and bounced around like you were on a trampoline. Fuck you! Fuck you! And fuck you for not questioning that. That's some ridiculous shit. There's nothing from 1969 that we can't redo easy today. Yeah. But that is like, there's a fucking ceiling that everybody hits.
Yeah. And being so cocky that they send petrified wood to the Dutch Prime Minister.
God damn!
Grab a pumice rock out of the barbecue or something.
Find an asteroid, man. There's plenty of them. And that's, by the way, one of the things that was weird is that, you know, the guy who was the head of the NASA space program was Wernher von Braun. Now, Wernher von Braun was a straight-up Nazi. There was a thing called Operation Paperclip. And what Operation Paperclip was in the 1940s, I guess 1950s, right after World War II was over. Once we kicked the Nazis' ass, we stole all their scientists. All of them. Because we had to fuck with the Soviets. The Soviets got a lot of them too. And everybody was racing for space superiority. And it wasn't about exploring other planets. It was about shooting rockets on your head from the sky. That's what it was all about. It was all about military strength. So we got all these fucking Nazis and we justified having these fucking murderous killers design rockets for us. Wernher von Braun, if he was alive today, the Simon Wiesenthal Center said that they would prosecute him for crimes against humanity. They used to hang the 5 slowest Jews in front of his factory in Berlin. And they have guys that worked in that factory, and they've been interviewed, and they talk about seeing Wernher von Braun at that factory while this fucking space race shit was going down. That guy was in charge. That guy is a fucking criminal. There was a bunch of criminals, a bunch of scumbag, anti-human monsters. And they were part of the worst military regime the world has ever known, or at least the modern world has ever known. And that was at the head of NASA. There's a lot of, that was all hid from the American public. Nobody was aware of that. Nobody was like, hey, we got some Nazis, look at this.
So what do you think about what's going on today with the WikiLeaks? This is counter-espionage stuff that's always gone on. Now you can sort of see, now they're taking the information and just giving it out right away to the public about these types of things that happen in the background. Is this a good thing?
It's like celebrity sex tapes. You know, if you make them, they're going to get out there. This is a different world, man. There's not going to be any more secrets anymore. That's what this world is going to go down to. We are hitting some sort of a weird technological connectivity issue where we're going to be all connected all the time. We're going to be able to get information from each other just like instantly. It's not going to be as simple as I know, that you were in the Bahamas with that girl because I saw it on your Facebook. It's going to be like you're going to have access to people's databases. It's going to be, we're going to get real squirrely. We're getting closer and closer connected to some sort of a symbiotic relationship with computers and technology. If I leave this thing at home, I feel naked. I feel nervous. I feel disconnected. I feel scared. I feel nervous when I leave my fucking phone in my house. I did it the other day. I forced myself to go get a sandwich. And as I was driving, I forced myself to keep driving because I realized that I didn't have my phone on me. I'm like, so what, stupid? You're just going to go down the corner and you're going to buy a sandwich and you don't need to check your Twitter. Just go get a sandwich.
Is that a good thing?
I was nervous.
Is this a bad thing?
It's a thing, man. It doesn't have to be good or bad. We don't live in a fucking fairy tale. Everybody wants everything to be good or bad. Everybody wants angels or devils. It is a thing.
Do you miss being able to go to the Baskin-Robbins and not feel nervous without your phone?
No, because if you go back further, I don't want to die of polio, okay? I don't want to fight off the barbarian hordes. I'm for progress, okay? This is some progress. It's moving in the correct direction.
It is. You feel
okay. It's all moving in the correct direction. Complexity. It's like things are going to get more complicated. Fuck yeah, for sure. Connectivity and complexity. Those are 2 things you can count on. Things are going to get more complicated and you're going to be able to access people much quicker than before. That's an ethic. There's something happening. We're moving towards something that no one recognizes, but one day when they look back on history, it'll be so obvious to everybody else. It's going to be so obvious to the people that are, recording human history from 1,000 years from now, looking back at this crazy fucking empire of psychopaths running the world. This Monsanto thing I saw recently, they're trying, Monsanto has copyrights on seeds. Right? And if they catch farmers with growing their own seeds, like taking the seed from the plants that they grew with the seeds they bought, you can't do that. You can't do that anymore because they own the fucking seeds. And they're trying to copyright and patent pigs.
I read that on your Twitter.
Dude, there's a whole documentary. They're trying to patent pigs.
Yeah.
Patent genetics on pigs. And if your pig has them, you're not allowed to breed them. These are standard genetics that have existed in pigs forever. Dude. Shit's ugly out there. Shit's ugly out there. There's a bunch of fucking psychopaths and they are just raping. They're just raping legally, just sucking blood out of the system. They're fucking nuts, man. And they're willing to start fake wars and they're willing to do whatever the fuck it takes to make shitloads of money. They're not trying to patent pigs for the greater good of mankind. No, and they're one of the biggest fucking corporations in the world. They should be the last people desperate. You go, well, they're only patenting pigs because they can't afford to pay their bills. No, these motherfuckers own everything. They own everything. They're one of the biggest multinational corporations on the planet.
You really have to patent a pig, though. Is someone going to come along and...
The fuck, man? You can't patent life, you asshole. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's absolutely ridiculous. Why not just patent the earth? Well, you can't live here, already patented. The fuck, man? We're getting crazy. And this is going to be something that people will look back on and say, how did they have the internet and patenting pigs at the same time? How is this possible? How did they not rise up? Because we got soft.
You talk a lot about
It's on the agenda.
You're a pretty spiritual guy, though, aren't you?
I don't know what that means.
You don't know what that means.
I don't take yoga.
But you believe that
do it at
we're
home.
all, you
I
believe
do
that
yoga
all
at home. I just don't like
people
yoga
are connected in some form.
I like some yoga people. I don't like the fake ones, though. It's very annoying.
You do yoga?
I do yoga, man, but I don't like fake yoga people. There's a lot of yoga people that are just, they put on some beads and all of a sudden they're cool. You know what I'm talking about? It's like the new thing. They're into yoga. They might have been into monster trucks, but instead they became into yoga. It's very possible. They just picked a path and they just hopped on that
Do
shit.
you feel that we're all people are potentially connected?
The word spirituality is just as poisoned as the word drug. The word drug is, do you take drugs? And most people say, well, what does that mean? Well, you drink coffee, you take drugs, right? Everybody takes drugs. The word spirituality, you say, are you spiritual? Are you a spiritual person? It sounds to me like, are you like a verbose, fucking full of shit guy who wants to wear tie-dye and fuck girls that are really like to cry a lot?
What's wrong with that?
Are you really spiritual, or are you just pretending to be sensitive so people like you more? What is it? Because it's a lot of the times it's that. There's a lot of like fake spiritual people that are really kind of douchey, but they hold themselves to this thing like, I'm just really about God and about love, and then they'll just be cunty and God forgives us when we make mistakes. Like you're falling into this like fake spiritual realm.
But when you say that when you were talking about all of us being connected to this grid, and eventually when we look back on this, it may seem obvious what was happening, it kind of made me think that maybe that is a way of actually directly connecting people on this. If we are connected through some sort of energy, maybe this, I don't know, I just thought of it while you were talking about it.
I know what you're saying. I mean, what I'm saying about, it's not that I'm not spiritual, it's just that the word is poisoned. It's annoying. It's an annoying word. The idea is interesting. The idea that we have a soul. The idea that, and you cannot tell me that you know or you don't know. You can't. There's a lot of people that want to get real cocky with what life is, but you don't know shit. No one knows shit. We are all clinging to this fucking spinning orb as it hurls through space. And no one brings it up, ever. We are literally, above our heads is the craziest shit you could ever see in your life. And no one wants to talk about it. I don't think the word spiritual is the right word anymore. I think it's too connected with limited thinking, and I think we have to just abandon words, and everyone has to come to an understanding of what is really going on. And what's really going on is we are these temporary life forms that treat ourselves and the world around us as if we're permanent, and as if somehow or another the resources are going to last, and we are hurling around this giant nuclear explosion and barely paying attention to it. It's fascinating. And we're all addicted to technology and moving technology into a certain area. And I don't know why, but everyone is. Everybody wants the fastest fucking phone and the quickest internet and the craziest 72-inch plasma that also gets the internet. And I mean, it's moving into a certain direction. And I think that's what the human race does. I think the human race is here, just like bees are here to make beehives. The human race is here to construct something infinitely complex that changes the very nature of reality. That's what I think.
Really?
I think we're here to make like a Big Bang machine or something. I think that's what all this craziness with like the Large Hadron Collider is.
Yeah, that sounds a little scary to me.
Well, it's not scary. I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, it's interesting. It's like, you know, they're saying they're going to make these little baby black holes, and you know, probably they'll just disappear because of the weight of, you know, they're probably, you know, they don't have enough gravity to stick around. But you know,
maybe they'll be wrong.
Next year.
Yeah.
Maybe next year they'll make one that eats the earth.
Yeah.
It's possible, you know. I talk about it in my act about the first atomic bomb. They did not know what was going to happen. When they first blew up the atomic bomb, there was a real concern among certain scientists that it was going to start a chain reaction and it was going to eat up the entire atmosphere of the Earth.
Yeah, but they blew it off anyway.
Yeah, they just said, fuck it, let's see. That's real shit. That's what scientists did. Have you ever seen those videos where it's from like the 1940s war videos where they had soldiers practice with nuclear bombs? They blow off nuclear bombs. The soldiers would be in like this ditch, and then after the bomb goes off, they run towards the blast. It's the craziest shit you'll ever see. And this was the army. The army was leading these guys to doing this. You know, so people have fucked up.
Yeah.
They've taken some crazy chances, and we are fascinated by what can we do. I think we're absolutely fascinated what happens if we do this, and what happens if we do that, and whether it's someone figuring out time travel, or it's whatever the Large Hadron Collider, what comes next after that. I mean, you don't stop at, you know, creating the Higgs boson particle and little baby black holes. You don't stop there. They're going to keep going. Just like they kept going with the atomic bomb, just like they're going to keep going with whatever new discovery that comes out that's going to fucking flip this world on its head. That's what we do, man. That's why I'm addicted to phones. That's why you are too. That's why, you know, we are this fascination with technological shit. And I think it's an attractor. I think it's just like a parasitic, I think if you look at the relationship that human beings have to technology, it's very similar to the relationship that a parasite has with a host. If you look at there's an aquatic insect, okay? It's a worm, rather an aquatic worm that infects grasshoppers. And it grows inside the grasshopper's body. And then it gets to a certain point where it's ready to hatch, so it rewires the grasshopper's brain and talks the grasshopper into jumping into the water and drowning so that it can live. Well, what the fuck are we doing with computers that are smart? Are we really making smart computers that can think for themselves? And if they can think for themselves, why the fuck would they keep us around? Like that Terminator shit? Ha ha hee hee. I'll be back. No, that's fucking that's possible. That's real. If they become sentient and start being able to make themselves, then they have control over the construction of new ones, so they're going to be way smarter than us, and they're going to make ones way smarter than them. It's going to happen like instantaneously. They're just going to start building smarter and better computers to the point where human life will be ridiculous. What's the point of these little fucking furry monkeys that get sick?
I feel I've met people that are not as smart as their own telephones.
Of course.
Probably myself.
I'm not as smart as this fucking thing. This thing has Shazam on it, which is the shit. Right? Is that not the craziest evidence that we live in the future? There's an app, you're at a crowded bar, people are talking, and some music comes on, and you're like, fuck, damn, what is that song? You press Shazam, you put it up in the air, and it tells you what the fucking song is, and then you can buy it on iTunes, and you can listen to it right now. Fuck Star Trek! Star Trek, they had walkie-talkies, dude. They had to say Kirk over. You know? They didn't even think that we could do this. They're like, what, a phone that's not connected by a cord and you guys are both going to talk at the same time? Shut the fuck up. That's ridiculous.
Now, I've been enjoying watching a lot of YouTube videos today of your interviews. I've watched you on Alex Jones' show.
You prepare for this shit, dude.
Yeah, I enjoyed watching on the Alex Jones show. That looks like a fun show to do.
He's a fun guy.
And I enjoyed...
He's a little crazy.
Is he?
Oh, yeah.
How so? In what sense?
Well, he's a conspiracy theorist.
Sure.
And everybody who looks for conspiracies and everything, you gotta wonder.
You're not a conspiracy theorist.
Well, I mean, I've been called it. I mean, because of this whole moon landing thing especially, that's the one that's the most ridiculous.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to say...
The most ridiculous.
He's crazy.
Ridiculous
He's a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah, it sounds crazy to me. When I hear me talking about the moon landing, I want to go, shut up, stupid. You know what you're talking about? You're just reiterating a bunch of facts you read online. You don't know anything. Which is totally true. But it's still totally true that they really never have been back since 1972.
Yep. So Alex Jones believes it even more than you, though.
Black helicopters are coming to steal your babies. They're going to put microchips in your cereal. You'll eat this. Your feet will fall off. Your balls are going to turn green. Communist green. I don't know, man.
He's staked out
He's
the
crazy.
Bilderberg group.
Yes, he went to Bohemian Grove. And look, that's the thing about all these skull and bones douchebags. They really do freaky shit. Like, you see movies where, like, they have rituals, they wear outfits, they worship gods, and this is all the rich people do. And you go, yeah, okay, this is nuts. In the movie there was like sacrificing a virgin or some crazy shit. But then Alex Jones actually goes to Bohemian Grove and gets video footage of what these assholes do. These guys are like in this crazy secret group. And this secret group is filled with super rich dudes and people who run countries. And they all get together and they worship Moloch the owl god. And he's got a video of this shit where they're burning these twigs at the, a sacrifice, like a ritual of fake sacrifice at the effigy of this owl god. And you're going, what? Wait, is this real? This is real. I don't know who the fuck was there, but Alex got arrested for it. He's been arrested a bunch of times, which is what makes people think he might be CIA. People think that he might have, he might be disinformation. And what he's doing is, in considering everything a conspiracy, perhaps what's going on is there are some real conspiracies in there, and he's trying to muddy the water by just talking about crazy stuff and mixing it all together.
I got that.
That's what a lot of people believe. Real ploy that intelligence has used in not just this country, but every single country. You mix in real truth and real fact with stuff that's ridiculously retarded, so that you put it all together. So, like, if you say, whatever the conspiracy may be, you just add in, and you believe this as well, and this being, that there's bases on the moon where aliens are,
and then for it's all
editing our TV shows. Yeah, I mean, then everything becomes crazy. But there's a lot of those guys that believe, like, everything. They believe everything. Like, they believe in reptilians, they believe in fucking, it's almost like, is it an act? Are you crazy? Like, Whitley Strieber's my favorite. You guys know who that guy is? Whitley Strieber's the guy who wrote Communion. He wrote all those books about being abducted by aliens. Meanwhile, he also wrote Wolfen. He wrote like a bunch of movie screenplays and shit. And all of a sudden he writes this really detailed, sounds like a fucking movie plot about him getting abducted by aliens. And everybody's like, wow, man, he must have really done it. Videos of him taking a video of a fly, and the fly is flying in front of the camera, and he plays it back in slow motion. And he's like, what is this? Is it a man in a suit? What is this? Why is it here? And what does this mean? What does this mean? And he just looks like he's on acid, and he's just standing there talking in front of this camera, and people are buying this stuff.
What about the Jesse Ventura's conspiracy theory show?
Well, the whole word conspiracy is just like the word drugs, and it's the same. Another thing, it's a tainted word. It's like the idea of you think people conspire? The fuck yeah, they do. What do you think happened at Enron? It was just one bad apple, and the whole fucking thing went to shit. Where did $90 billion go from Halliburton? There's $90 billion missing. But because it's a corporation, everybody's like, oh, fuck, where is it? What if Halliburton was one dude? If Halliburton was one dude, they're like, where's the $90 billion? Oh, fuck, man. I don't know. I'm gonna kill you. Yeah, there are conspiracies. Fuck yeah. When there's $90 billion involved, people can keep their fucking mouth shut. Fuck yeah. There's Halliburton dudes must have giant mansions in like Saudi Arabia, fucking helicopters flying over and gun turrets. Those motherfuckers made a lot of money. Yeah, there's conspiracies. Fuck yeah, there's real conspiracies. But the word conspiracy theorist, you'll get lumped in with all these crazy people.
I felt that show, I saw one episode of that show, the Jesse Ventura one, and I felt that they made an argument about 9/11, and I felt it was a bad episode, perhaps, and I felt it was misinformation. I felt they were trying to I don't
Trying to create theater without objective thinking, maybe.
Yeah, it was,
What was it? Well, he believes a lot of shit, though.
He does, yeah. He's sort of a...
I was a Navy SEAL. Trust me. I've got the information. He knows. He knows what the fuck's going on.
Have you...
he thinks everything's goddamn government. I don't think everything's
him in
government.
UFC circles?
No. He was in Minnesota when I was there, but I had my headphones on. I didn't have time to go over and say hi to him. But I would have. I'd love to talk to him, pick his brain. Want to know what he thinks about aliens.
I want to know more about DMT.
Weird. That's a bad segue right there, fella.
Yeah, I just DMT.
He's got to get to his little list.
Yes, DMT.
Yes.
I want to know more about what it is.
Dimethyltryptamine.
What is it?
You want to do it?
Well, let me hear more about it first.
I can make a call. Call my friend. Say, yo, you got that spaceship, brother? Get that spaceship. Bring it over here. Yeah, I know this dude, he want to travel. Change your life, motherfucker.
Looks like our
change
audience
your
knows
life, son.
what it is all about.
That shit will change your life.
It's a plant?
Well, it exists in plants. It
I read it
exists in
was
a bunch of different
invented
plants.
by a Canadian, I read today.
Invented by a Canadian. Is it a Canadian god? What are you saying? It was invented, what, you Monsanto?
Well, I clicked on Wikipedia today, and it said that the first guy to chemically experiment with it, or whatever the hell
What was his name?
I forgot. Frederick.
You just fucking happy as shit that he was a Canadian?
Yeah, I saw a Canadian. I thought that's cool. He invented something that I don't know what it is. You know what it?
Well, I don't know. He obviously didn't invent it.
Yeah,
but,
it's a plant.
Chemically synthesized it. Well, it exists in plants. It's a chemical. It's a human neurotransmitter, and everybody's brain has it. Every single human being. When they believe the high levels are achieved when you are in heavy REM sleep, and they also believe like when you're going to die, or your body thinks it's in extreme stress. Your body says, this is it. And what it is what it creates, this chemical, if you smoke it or however you get it into your body, it creates this intense psychedelic experience where you communicate with something, and you don't know what it is, but it feels like you're in another dimension. And the argument...
Okay, I want to try it.
The argument could be... There's two arguments. The argument could be like, you're not really in another dimension, you're just fucked up on this drug.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense. Or maybe it's just fucking with your visual cortex and creating all these hallucinations. That's possible too. But it also talks to you. It talks to you and it says shit in like this really comforting, reassuring voice that's way fucking smarter than you. And it knows everything. It knows everything about you, everything about everything you've done. It's almost like you tap into everyone. It's not just you tap into like one thing. It's like, it feels like you tap into everyone and every molecule and what you're seeing in this world is almost like just some weird temporary manifestation of all this energy that's in this other world. And all these hard objects and things that appear permanent, they're just these things that are created by ideas and thoughts and things that are actually harvested from that other dimension. That this other dimension is a chemical doorway that you can cross over, and that you can go back and forth, and that we're so crazy that we think that the only things that are real are things that we can bang on. We think that everything has to be hard, and it has to be solid, and it has to be right in front of you for it to be real. But your imagination is real. Imagination has created all this. Without these thoughts, the idea to create an iPhone, how does an iPhone happen? It doesn't. So the idea makes this shit happen. The idea comes from the DMT dimension. The dimension of pure consciousness, the dimension of ideas. What that is, when you cross over to that, is some sort of a higher state of consciousness. And I think we achieve it when we go to sleep. I think that's why it's good advice to sleep on something. Because when you have something's bothering you and you sleep on it, a lot of times you wake up and you feel a little wiser. And one of the reasons why you probably feel wiser is because you have yourself a little mini DMT trip when you're in heavy REM sleep. Okay. One of the things like a DMT trip that's very similar to dreams is when you have a dream, when you wake up, you're like, whoa, what a crazy dream I had. I was fucking in a boat and the boat was tipping over in the water, and it's so graphic and so like clear in your mind. And then I could talk to you 5 minutes later, you don't know what the fuck your dream is about. You literally forgot the dream, even though you told me what the dream was. You don't remember. It's like it almost feels like something's cleaning your memory. It's so hard to remember. I can remember, if I wake up because the phone rings, and then I answer it, and I talk to somebody, and I hang up, I'll remember that. I'll remember, the phone rang, and that's why I woke up. And I'll remember the conversation. But if I wake up and tell you about a dream, that dream is way more fleeting than this conversation that I had. Well, why the fuck is that? I was in a boat and the boat was falling into the water and I was gonna die. And I can't remember that shit at all a minute later. You asked me a minute later, I'm like, what was it? What happened? Huh? God, I'm tired. No, what's up? I can never remember anything when I wake up. No, your brain is cleaning that memory. There's something to a dream experience where it appears like your mind is trying to erase the memory. It's like you're given this crazy burst of this weird hallucination that takes place while you're unconscious. And then once you come conscious, like, no, you don't need to be thinking about all that shit. Let me clean that up so you don't get eaten by a fucking panther while you're daydreaming in the middle of the grass about some shit that happened to you when you were asleep. It's like some evolutionary thing that's there, so we don't freak out about that dimension. It's like we are not capable yet. We have not evolved yet to the point where we can really intellectualize this experience that we go through every night while we sleep. So because of that, we just don't have access to those memories. And that seems to be what's happening in dream sleeping. That seems to be what's happening with DMT trips. We're not supposed to see that. The conscious state is not supposed to have access to what's happening in the unconscious state. It's a very weird thing with people that we just accept the fact that we go to sleep. You know, everyone is scared to die. No one's scared to sleep. We shut ourselves off every night. You literally aren't aware of anything. You just go out. And you don't do it for like a couple of minutes. You go out for 8 fucking hours if you're lucky. I'm looking forward to it too. I want to shut the fuck off. It's weird, man. It's weird. We are taking life for granted. Life itself is an intense psychedelic experience. The whole thing is fucking crazy. When you leave here and you get in your car and you're in a metal box with rubber tires under it and you're rolling around on a surface that people have laid over this spinning monster of a fucking planet hurling around a nuclear explosion. Think about that shit as you're driving home. This whole thing is psychedelic. The whole thing is. We're just used to it. We're used to it. And it's crazy that we're used to it. And we're dying. And we're not thinking about it. We're used to all of it.
I've heard the argument, I don't know where I heard it, that the drugs are illegal so that we can't access this extra level of consciousness and then we're more easily controlled. Is this something that you prescribe to? Or?
The drugs are illegal because the people that want drugs to be illegal haven't done the drugs. It's that simple. If you could get everybody in Congress on mushrooms, we would change the fucking world. That is a fact. They would stop tweaking. They would stop going, you can't put that in your body. You mean I can drink Drano? You can't stop me from having Drano. Yeah, I can have poison in my fucking house, but I can't have mushrooms. That's ridiculous. The fact that that is happening at the same time as the iPhone 4 is showing you there's some shit that's holding us back. There's some old cunts that we need to get on drugs.
So why are they illegal? Marijuana, why is it still illegal?
Unquestionably because of economics. Unquestionably because of pharmaceutical companies. Unquestionably because of alcohol companies are afraid of it. Tobacco companies are afraid of it. A lot of people are afraid of marijuana. Just because you would not be able to control it. It's a plant. It's a fucking weed. It grows easy. Any asshole with fucking 4 fluorescent bulbs could run an empire out of his basement. It's not hard. It's a fucking plant. It's not brain surgery. I've met some of these assholes that make these cookies and shit. They're dumb as fuck. Making millions of dollars making pot cookies. And this is just in California. In California, you can get away with making medical shit. If it becomes legal like that, that's going to be the country. The ramifications are huge. The whole culture is going to change. Why wouldn't I? It's easy to do. I like weed. Before you know it, it's going to be nuts, man. It would change so much. It would change the pharmaceutical companies completely because there's like 100 different things they have pills for that they prescribe to that marijuana does a way better job of fixing, including crazy shit like intraocular pressure when you have glaucoma and getting people hungry when they're going through chemotherapy. Like there's a lot of fucking really positive benefits for arthritis. There's people that have like degenerative arthritis that's like stopped in its tracks with THC. Like, and it's illegal. It's a fucking plant. It's a plant that does like a million cool things. You can make paper out of it. It literally is maybe one of the most productive and useful plants on the fucking earth. And it's illegal. It's so illegal that even the psychoactive cousin of it that you can't even get high with is illegal in this country. You can't even have hemp. You can't do anything with hemp except make bags and make shirts that nobody wants to wear. Other than that, what are you going to do with hemp? You can't smoke it. There's no psychoactive THC in hemp, but yet it's illegal. Because they're cunts! These fucks, they're ruining the planet because greedy cunts? Because they haven't done mushrooms. It's that simple. It's a fucking tie-in. You can fix them all. Make it legal. I'll start my own thing. Start with a large place. Go right to like a 14,000 seater. Just start a giant mushroom religious experience center. Just every day. Come on down, dude. What's the biggest dose before? I did 2.5 grams last week and I met my mom. Okay. Let's go at 5 this week, bitch! Bring your space shoes, son! Time for travel. That's the real trip, man. Fuck going to Tibet. You know, you want a trip? Go on a real trip. Real man's trip. 6 fucking grams on your couch. That's all you need. Just sit the fuck down. You're gonna get itchy about 1 hour and 20 minutes in. You're gonna want to scratch your nose, but you need to just ignore that. Concentrate on that roaring energy, tsunami heading your way. Oh fuck, here it comes. You want to get to that point where you can't hold on anymore. Just just get caught in the wave, like you would feel if you were in a tsunami. At a certain point, if you were surfing and you were out there and you got hit by a tsunami, like there's a certain point in time we just have to accept the fact that it's over. That's what it's like. About 2 hours in on 6 grams. 2 hours in on 6 grams, you're in the middle of that wave. You just.
This is DMT
crazy
here?
Egyptian architecture in front of you and shit. No, that's mushrooms.
That's mushrooms. Okay.
The DMT is a little scarier than that, believe it or not.
Wow.
It's more disassociative, more unreal. The DMT thing is like mushrooms times 1,000,000 plus aliens. That's what it's like. It's literally, it can't get any crazier. It can't. It's indescribable. Every word that I've ever used to try to describe it to people has been a limp dick, futile effort. There's no words. There's no words. They don't exist. It's too crazy.
Now, does pot cause cancer when you smoke it?
Yes, always. It's causing cancer to everyone right now.
Yes?
It causes cancer to everyone who doesn't smoke it. That's what it does. That's how pot causes cancer.
The smoke in your lungs?
Of course not, man. No, come on, you know this. You're asking me questions you already know the answer to. This is a crazy conversation.
Oh, it's for the benefit of our audience.
Well, okay. Obviously.
I'm not sure, to be honest with you.
Where are the bodies?
That's my biggest concern about it.
Where are the bodies? No, pot
I've had
is
cancer
acts as
myself,
expectorant. You didn't get it from pot, fella.
No, I did not. No.
Don't go blaming pot.
Yeah, I was smoking in my balls.
Well, what do you think about people that say that all cancer, seeing as you're a cancer survivor, what do you think about people that say that all cancer is environmentally created? That everything that ails the human body in the form of cancer is either some sort of toxic from the environment, or bad food, or preservatives, or your body reacting to pollution, or a bunch of other things? And there's scientists that are actually supposing that cancer is a fairly new thing to the human animal. And that, at one point in time they thought maybe people just died off before they had cancer because the life expectancy was lower. But now they're starting to believe that there's a very real, push towards, trying to figure out if this is true. That it's all because of the stuff that we put out there. All because of chemicals, all because of the environment.
I was having a conversation with a friend earlier this week, actually, about this, because he was saying how his daughters, who were in their 20s, have lots of friends who are coming down with cancer in their 20s, and this is something that's unheard of. People, who are getting cancer in their 20s and 30s.
The same kind of cancer?
No, just sort of generally, he was saying sort of people that he knows have been noticing that more people, younger people, getting cancer. I had cancer when I was 28. Perhaps there was something that may have happened with pesticides in the 60s and 70s. PCBs or what have you that they've gotten rid of because
DHT, son.
Yeah, but I don't know. I do not know.
Did you radically change your diet when that happened?
No. I really just sort of kind of just kept on doing the same thing. To be honest with you, it's probably kind of stupid. I probably should have stopped eating whatever I was eating before. That's what.
You don't need a wake up call.
No, I don't know. But
wow.
Does pot make you lazy?
It makes you lazy if you're lazy. If you're a lazy person, pot's not gonna help. But there you go. This is my argument. It's sort of a joke, but it's sort of true. Saying that, can you fuck up your life with pot? Yes. You can fuck up your life with cheeseburgers and scratch tickets if you're a fucking idiot. It doesn't mean we should make pot illegal. The joke is like, you know, how about a hammer? You could take a hammer and you could build a house with it. Or you could just hit yourself in the dick if you're fucking crazy. Right? Should we make hammers illegal? Should we nerf the fucking world? Look, people are going to ruin their lives with everything. Everything they touch. There's going to be people that have to fuck up hard so that everyone else can learn. No one knows what happens when you stick a fork into an electric socket until you watch or hear about someone sticking a fork in an electric socket. Some shit has to happen, okay? You gotta break some eggs to make an omelet.
I want to know more about your game show, your new game show that you're doing.
What are you talking about?
Just shifting gears again. Game show in my head.
What are you talking about, man?
Oh, am I not allowed to talk about
like
this?
3 years ago.
That's
How dare you with your shit research?
Shit, that is shit. Yeah, sorry about that. That's not new? Oh, okay. Okay.
It's like 2008 or something. Son. It's a huge hit in Canada. No.
I thought that was a new one that was coming out. Okay.
No, I did it a long time ago. Did it like 2 years ago.
What was the strangest thing that ever happened on Fear Factor?
The strangest thing was every day that I showed up for work and it was still going on the air. This is the strangest fucking thing ever. Every day it just got stranger and stranger.
I remember one in particular that made me, I may have told you this story before, but I was watching the show with my parents, and I've certainly done a fair amount of gross out stunts over the years, you know, on my show. And I was watching the show, and you guys were in Times Square, New York City, and you took frozen rats, dropped them in a blender, blended it up, made milkshakes out of rats, and
with the hair and everything.
Had the contestants drink them.
That hair in it. They had to drink the hair.
Yeah, and
that shit was rough.
I actually dry heaved and then ran to the bathroom and actually physically was ill from
Did you
watching.
actually throw up?
I actually threw up. And I came back, I said, that has never happened to me before from watching a television program, and I thought that was amazing.
I called my friend David Hurwitz, who is the producer of that show, and
amazing.
he's going to be very happy to
me.
this.
But would you say that was one of the
yeah, well, there's a bunch of them. There was a bunch of them like that where it was like, this is so ridiculous. It was so ridiculous. And always, when you watch that show, I was baked out of my mind. Every single episode. I would take a pot lollipop and do the show. So like when I was waiting for the show, I would eat a pot lollipop.
Oh, sneaky.
And then usually I'd get to the point where I could just barely start to talk right when we would do the show. Yeah. Sometimes I was so shaky, I would say night when it was day, or day when it was night, and I would just get through the script and everything's going to be gravy.
Yeah. But that must have been a lot of fun. You were great.
It was fun when I was high. When I wasn't high, it got really boring. That's why the first season I did it straight, and then after the first season I was like, this is so ridiculous, I got to get high before I do this. I was baked out of my mind. Every single episode, I would take a pot lollipop and do the show. So like when I was waiting for the show, I would eat a pot lollipop.
Oh, sneaky.
And then usually I'd get to the point where I could just barely start to talk right when we would do the show. Yeah. Sometimes I was so shaky, I would say night when it was day, or day when it was night, and I would just get through the script and everything's going to be gravy.
Yeah, but that must have been a lot of fun. You were great.
It was fun when I was high. When I wasn't high, it got really boring. That's why the first season I did it straight, and then after the first season I was like, this is so ridiculous, I got to get high before I do this. And then I got high and I was like, this is so much fun. This is fucking crazy. Like, what is this show? This is a real show on television. What the fuck, man? And you see all the desperation in their eyes. Some of them are different, you know, everyone's different. Some people are just there to test themselves, and then someone that's just there to fucking show daddy I'm special. Show daddy something. I would fucking freak out. One time, one of the highest times I ever got, and this is almost like it all happened for a reason. There was like a long downtime. So I showed up, I ate my normal pot lollipop, and then there was like a long downtime before they set the stunt up, because it was for $1 million. It was a big deal. And so they set the stunt up, and they were having issues with the wind and issues with a couple things. So I had to go back to my trailer and chill for another hour. So I got high again. I got double high. Okay, I got double high, and I was sitting around waiting, and I'm like, and there was a real moment where I was like, I'm too high to talk. I don't know how I'm going to do this. this, and this is important for these people. They're about to win $1 million, and I'm going to get out there and just piss all over myself when I start talking. Well, somehow or another I pulled it together. You always do. You know, you always feel like there's no way I can talk, and then you talk to people who were there, like, I didn't even know you were high. Oh God, I was clinging on for dear life. You didn't know I was high. How did you not know I was high? So I go over and I set this guy up. You ready to do this? This is for $1 million. You have to drive this car off the ledge and let loose and jump out of the cockpit. You're going to be attached to a bungee cord that's going to connect you to a live wire that's across the canyon. The guy who gets his car to go the furthest is going to win $1 million. I can't believe I got through it. So then I go back, this guy does it, and then the second guy, I'm peaking, right? I'm so high. I can feel like the gamma rays coming off the sun. I can feel them like affecting me. And I go over to the dude who's about to do the next stunt, and he's in tongues. He's a real heavy-duty Christian, and he's talking in tongues. And he's about to drive this fucking dune buggy off the side of a cliff on TV. And he's going, and he's not just in tongues, but he's in crazy fake language tongues. When they talk in tongues, I'm sorry, but you can't have a language where every other word is shamalama-lama. Okay? I don't believe you, you fuck, you uncreative cunt, with your shitty fake language. Oh, shamalama-lama, oh, shakalaka-lala, shamalama-lala. Every other word is shamalala. You fuck, you're just making this shit up. You're crazy and you're making this up. So this dude is on his knees. Shamalama-lama, shamalama-lama. He tells me God's told him how he's going to win. God told me how I'm going to win. Okay, good luck. Woo! Motherfucker won. Motherfucker won. Motherfucker won by like 10 feet too. And I'm like, shit, now I got to go talk to this crazy asshole. I'm high as Jesus on the space shuttle. And this poor fuck believes that he shamalama-lama'd his way to $1 million. And he had to give 10% of it to the church too. Yeah. He said he had a tithe. That's why God gave it to him, so he could give it away. Nice. That was probably the weirdest moment ever on Fear Factor. But it was all my fault. Should have been a standard day in the fields. But I got double high. Unbelievable. You can't get double high before a big stunt. Especially $1 million one.
I'm going to do some quick rapid fire questions, and then I'm going to take a couple questions from the audience. And then, let's see, do you think Sarah Palin could get elected?
Yes. Yeah. Certainly. Yeah. I think if they play their cards correctly, and they really heavy coached her, so that they give her a bunch of really smart things to say, repeat it over and over and over again. There's not that many topics. They're not going to trick you as long as you're heavily coached. If she listens, there's enough guys out there that are so fucking pathetic that they would vote for her just because she's attractive. They're lonely and they're sad and they're stupid and they know that she's a nice person and maybe if they got next to her they could be friends. There's dudes that think that the whole world is like one of those shitty Kevin Costner movies where like, you know, there's only one vote that counts and this is the one vote that made her president. And it's you, Bob. It's me. And she's going to find out. And she's going to want to meet you in the unlikeliest romance of this season. And they think it's a fucking movie. And they think that, yeah, man, I think she's cool. She's cool people. She's normal people. You think she should be able to run shit. You are a dickless wonder. You should be shot in the head with a musket, you fuck. You dummy waiting in line in the Michigan snow for a fucking book signing by a chick who doesn't even read. The fuck is wrong with you? The fuck is wrong with you, you bitches? That is just, the world is filled with bitches. In the world of the hunter and gatherer days, there's no way a cunt like that could get into office. It's these soft, pudgy fucks of today. I want marshmallows and a pretty lady to talk to me on TV. First of all, she's not even American. She's from Alaska. Not attached. And if you know anything about U.S. history, anything that's not attached is just some shit we stole. All right? That is a frozen Puerto Rico, and that cunt needs to get back in her igloo and shut the fuck up. That's what I think.
It's interesting though, because Obama is...
That's all prepared material.
Obama is from Hawaii. And,
or Indonesia.
Would be 2 in a row.
Or Kenya. Fuck, he's from the wrong patch of dirt. I don't think what he's saying is valid. There's people that believe that Obama is a secret Muslim plant. And then eventually, you know, he's going to be like, you know, what is that movie with Denzel Washington?
Yeah.
What's that movie? Manchurian Candidate, yeah. And eventually they're going to say, in his ear, and he's going to fucking snap. Pull the button and fucking come back to his roots.
Wasn't it actually a robot?
Can't trust him. Comes from a single-parent household. I don't know.
How do you think he's been doing, Obama?
I don't know. I don't know what's real.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know how a guy gets the Nobel Peace Prize and then sends 30,000 people to war. That's not like he sent an extra 100. He sent 30,000. Okay, when I was living in Colorado, I lived in a town of 200 people. Think 30 fucking thousand in planes and tanks and jets and boats with guns. And he wins the Nobel Prize. What is real? What is real? He said he was going to pull people out of everywhere. No one's going anywhere. There's more people going. There's craziness. We just found $1 trillion worth of minerals. Shucks, we didn't even know it was here. Of course he didn't know it was here. It's not like everybody's looking for that shit because we need it to make more iPhones. All right? There's fucking 90% of the world's heroin comes from Afghanistan. And people go, well, we wouldn't have anything to do with that. Are you sure? Do you know how much money 90% of the world's fucking heroin means? That's insane amounts of money. So if people are willing to come to the conclusion that people are willing to go to war to make money, which a lot of reasonable people believe, that people are willing, people like Halliburton and Dick Cheney, they're willing to go to war on sketchy circumstances in order to turn a profit. If you're thinking that, why wouldn't you think they would sell heroin? Well, fucking of course they would sell heroin. They're not going to let somebody else sell heroin. There's billions and trillions of dollars worth of heroin in Afghanistan. That's our shit. Period. That's why there's guns there. There's billions and trillions of dollars. And meanwhile, the government in Afghanistan, the brother of the fucking president of Afghanistan, is a known person of the hoppy business. He's been involved in the heroin trade for a long time, and for years, almost 8 years, this guy was getting paid by the CIA. This guy was on the CIA payroll. He's the brother of the president of Afghanistan, and he sells heroin. What is up? That's real. I'm not making that up. That should be in the news every fucking day. That should be, hey, what are you guys doing with the heroin? There's a video, if you can go on YouTube, you can watch it, of American Army, like it was like I don't know, like a sergeant or something like that, and all these troops guarding poppy fields for these people because these people need to make a living, and if they don't make a living, they're not going to listen to us. So we're guarding the heroin fields so they can make heroin. Our fucking soldiers are guarding heroin!
You sure it's not just for those poppy seeds for the bagels?
You got a good point. They are delicious. Warm, right? With a little melt to the whipped cream, or to the cream cheese, rather.
Here, let's take a couple of questions. Like this before. I thought it might be fun.
How did you do it before?
Before we had my friend John in the audience with the mic, but John's not here today. I thought it might be fun to walk into the audience, walk up to some of the people. Thank you for coming here tonight. I see some familiar faces, some people I've never met before.
Those are stalkers. Anyone familiar is a stalker. Clue you into that shit right now, homie.
So who has a question for Joe Rogan? Oh, lots of hands up here. I'll start up here. What's your name, sir?
Austin.
Austin, where are you from?
Laguna Beach.
Laguna Beach. You drive down here tonight for the show?
I took the train and bus.
The train? They have a train here?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead with the question for Joe. You can stand up if you want.
Oh, sure.
I feel like I'm in court. Right? Well, now that I'm by myself, I feel like I fucked up and I'm gonna have to explain myself.
So, Mr. Rogan,
How are you, sir?
you've talked a lot about like being afraid of like wild animals like eating you and your children. Like,
True.
is there a particular animal you're most afraid of?
All the predators, but really you should be more terrified of bears. Bears are more scary than carnivores because carnivores only kill things. They only eat what they kill. Bears just start eating you because bears are omnivores. They eat like berries and shit, and they also eat moose if they can catch them, but they don't kill them first. They just eat them. Like there's a lot of video online of bears eating moose, and what they do is just start eating them. They just hold them down and start biting big chunks out of them. And the moose is trying to get away, and the bear just, bitch, you ain't going nowhere. And they just bite his back and shake off the chunk, and the moose is fucked up. There's a video of this moose with just bites missing everywhere, and it's still well alive. It takes a long time. There's another one with a bear, a grizzly, catches this moose, chases it, finally catches it, and just starts eating it from the stomach. Just the stomach, just going right for the stomach, just ripping chunks out and eating it. So, I'm scared more of bears because that shit is painful. Have them just fucking eat you.
Thank you for your question.
And I think mountain lions are probably bullies at heart. I think if you really fight back like a motherfucker, you can scare off a mountain lion. If he thinks like some shit is going down, like this is a crazy monkey, you know? People have killed mountain lions in hand-to-hand combat. It's actually happened. A guy in Canada last year, he stabbed a mountain lion to death. 62 years old, bad motherfucker. Stabbed a mountain lion to death as it tried to eat him. Yo.
Next question.
That's a good ticker that guy's got.
I'm sure we can hit a wide range of topics here. Any stand up? What's your name?
Why stand up, man? It's fucking formal and shit. Do whatever you want to do, lady. Don't listen to him order you around. He's trying to control you.
I'm gonna sit because Joe told me to.
Okay, yeah.
Well, that's the worst thing you can say. Think for yourself, goddammit. That's what I'm promoting. No, I'm promoting you to think for me. What?
I want to know, do you think that we, as a people, are too soft? Are we just going to go quietly? Or do you think something so egregious is going to happen that we will rise up, that we will get really pissed off and fight back?
There's a bunch of possibilities. There's that, it would have to be something big would have to happen to get our lazy asses to revolt. There's too many of us, and there's too much what they call diffusion of responsibility. You're much more likely to help someone if they're getting attacked, if it's just you and the person that's getting attacked. Once there's 100 people involved, then you go, well, why doesn't somebody else jump in there? Why the fuck am I jumping in? And once you get 300 million people, there's a lot of diffusion of responsibility. There's a lot of us that look at the world and go, well, what the fuck, man? These other people are doing shit. And I'm guilty of it as much as the next person. As a matter of fact, I actually advise it. I think at this high a level of society, when things are this fucking complicated, why fucking stress on it? Just find a place that's like the safest place to live, let all these other motherfuckers work this shit out, and just enjoy your life. Just worry about money enough so that you make enough so that you don't have to worry what it is. Because nobody really knows what it is, because it's nothing anymore. It's not like that equals gold. No, it's just numbers on some fucking paper. What do you give a shit? Just get enough of it so you don't have to worry about it. That's what you need to do. Just have some fun. Don't worry about what's going on with this crazy dance that's on TV, on C-SPAN, and fucking weird people with their weird robes. Just as weird as powdered wigs is these fucking ties and these suits that everyone has to wear so that you take them seriously. The whole thing is preposterous. It's all ridiculous. With their shiny, slippery fucking shoes, they can't run anywhere, and their dumb socks. The whole thing is dumb. You have to dress like that or I won't take you seriously. Like if I got in Congress and I started talking to them like on the real, like about DMT with my backwards baseball hat on, and a fucking wallet chain, they'd be like, look at this idiot. You can't take him seriously. But if I showed up with a clean haircut and a shave and with a nice tie on, especially a conservative color, crazy, I can't have a tie with like psychedelic sunburst on it. I defeat the whole purpose of the ruse I'm trying to lay down, But I love it when you see somebody who never wears a suit and tie. You see them like talking before Congress. They're all dressed up like another fucking ape, It's just like they won't take you seriously unless you wear the secret outfit. It's 1,000 years from now, it's going to be just like those dummies that used to be in court with the white wigs on. It's the same shit. Same stupid shit. You got a fucking outfit on or I won't listen to you? What? What do you work at Wendy's, you fuck? Ridiculous.
Who else? Who's got a question here? Okay, let me see how I get around there. Okay, come around this way. What's your name, sir?
John.
John, and go ahead.
Okay. What's up, Joe?
What's up, dude?
Recently on a
Back me up on this. Don't you feel like it's weird when you watch yourself? Don't you? It feels odd, right? It's very weird. You get self-conscious, you're real judgmental. You just, I'm like, oh, if I did that bit, I need to add a pause there. And, so a lot of times comics will, unless you're like super serious, you avoid a lot of those things, like going back and watching yourself over again. But if I did, I'm sure I'd get a lot of material.
Cool.
Anyone else? Yes. Here we go. Yeah. What's your name?
My name's Cameron.
Where are you from, Cameron?
I'm from Redondo Beach.
You drive down tonight? Yeah. This is cool. Okay.
How high are you, dude? Don't lie.
I'm pretty fucking high.
Yeah, I'm looking at you. Like, this dude might be the one guy here higher than me. I might have questions for you.
Well, I got a question for you. I got a question for you about writing. As an artist, you, if you're not feeling motivated and you have something you need to write for, like, do you try and force yourself to write, or do you kind of wait for those moments of where you're feeling motivated to write?
I believe you have to force yourself to write, because I think you can trick yourself into feeling like you shouldn't write just because it's. A lot of us approach writing, and I know I do. A lot of creative types are they kind of oppose conformity. A lot of people who are creative, they oppose like real jobs, they oppose discipline. It's something, creativity and discipline, it's very hard to connect the two of them together because they play off of two totally different things. Like creativity, when you really tap into it, it's like it doesn't really have anything to do about you. It's really not about you, it's about you're like an antenna for these ideas and you're supposed to try to figure out the best way to organize them with your mind and get them and write them down. But discipline is like, I'm a bad motherfucker and I'm up at 6. You know what I mean? That's a totally different mindset. And to get those two mindsets together, it's usually the one who doesn't give a fuck about their appearance and the one who doesn't give a fuck about conformity. Those are the ones that are coming up with the ideas. Because you're like, shut up everybody, I want to sleep in till 1. What the fuck is this paint made out of, man? How do you make paint? And you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where that mindset comes from. So it's very difficult to get creativity and discipline and have them like meet in a comfortable medium. Like, I always think about writing as work. It's still to this day, I'm like, I gotta work. But it's not really work. Work is when you work at UPS, you gotta carry boxes. You know, work is digging ditches, that's work. This is your creativity. And sometimes your brain, because it's associated any form of structure with work, and with work being displeasurable, you sort of connect it together because it's something you have to do. You know, a great book is a book called The War of Art by this guy Stephen Pressfield. Have you read it?
I have.
It's fucking amazing, right? It's a great book, and it's by a guy who was at points of his life he had been a failure, and then he figured out how to be really disciplined with his writing and still be really creative. And his approach is really awesome. I love it. And one of the things I love about it the most is that he is very much into the concept of the muse. And what the muse means is that you're getting your ideas from something else, some sort of a non-local database, you know, or you know, you're tapping into some signal. And I've always said that, man, about comedy, about writing. When I'm writing, sometimes it's not even really me. I don't even exist. I'm hanging on. There's enough of me there to hit the right keys and hit the space and format it. That's all and that's the dance. The dance is just keeping just enough of you there to type shit out and let it all sort of like come out without you getting in the way of it. It's like really just get out of the way of the ideas. And that's why being high helps. That's why, you know, any sort of expansion of your consciousness, whether it's isolation tanks or meditation or yoga or anything where you're really deeply thinking about something, you know, when you get the opportunity to truly, really deeply explore your ideas, anything like that is always good for the writing. All of it is good for the writing. But I think, you know, you probably agree that it's like the muse concept is one of the most fascinating parts of that book, right?
For me, it was the biggest part of that book, absolutely. Because I didn't know how to explain that as a songwriter, but it's something you have to learn how to hone into where it's not coming through you, it's coming from somewhere else. Absolutely.
I think we all agree. That's the thing. Almost everybody that I've ever met that's an artist that's really good at something, they all understand that. If painters say it, writers say it, singers, songwriters, comics. You know, comics, I always say that when I'm at my best, when I'm on stage, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. I'm completely freeballing. I have no idea what the next word out of my mouth is, and I'm just getting out of the way of it. I'm just like somehow or another, I'm like a passenger, and I'm just getting out of the way of it. I don't want to fuck this up. Because you can easily fuck it up. You know, I know you feel that too. Like when your ego comes in and you go, hey, look what I'm doing. Oh, then you start out from scratch. Then you have to like kind of regain ground and re-relax and figure out how to get back into the vibe of nothingness, you know, that Zen mindset.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for your question. Time for one last question. One last question.
Oh, I got one.
You have one? Okay. What's your name?
Claudia?
Claudia, okay.
I just wanted to ask what your worst trip ever was.
Worst trip?
Yeah.
None of them are bad. Because here's the thing, even though nothing's freaked me out more than eating pot. Eating pot has definitely made me more paranoid than anything ever. Those are, if you want to say something is a worst trip, but it's only worse while it's happening. And what's good about it is every single trip that I've ever had, anything that I've ever done where it was deeply psychoanalytical, really deeply introspective and very uncomfortable, those are all like massive growing experiences. You know, the opportunity to put your ego in check, the opportunity to look at yourself in a sort of a perturbed state of consciousness that gives you a more objective or a different perspective of your whole life. You know, you gotta welcome that shit. And everybody calls it being paranoid. And everybody calls it a bad trip. But what it is just showing light on your douchey life. I mean, that's what it is. And it might be douchey because your job sucks. It might be douchey because you've got this weird combative relationship with your better half. It might be douchey because you're not doing what you want to do and you're taking the easy way out. It might be douchey because your mom's a cunt. It might be douchey because you live in a shit neighborhood and you don't have any money. There could be a lot of things that freak you out when you're high, but the pot's not the problem. what it is just this gigantic magnifying glass for how strange life truly is. And a lot of people don't want to look at life with no blinders on. It's too fucking weird. You know, we all have the blinders on. We all, at a certain level of life, you have to. Just to be able to get up and move in a certain direction and put left foot, right foot, left foot, right foot, you start thinking about all the fucking shit that's going on, and the fact that scientists now believe that inside every black hole is another universe, and the center of every galaxy is a black hole. So there's 100 billion galaxies and 100 billion black holes, which are 100 billion universes just in this fucking universe. There might be every fucking universe is the same thing, so they all have billions of universes inside of them. You can't think about that shit. All right, left foot, right foot, keep going, bitch. You gotta go to work. You know? And that's why when you have like a serious pot brownie and you're like, "Fuck it, I'm fucking freaking out. It's too much." It is too much. It really is. It's not the pot. It really all is too much. The whole thing's too much. It's too fucking crazy.
Joe Rogan, everybody.
Joe Rogan!
Thank you very much, Joe. Always a pleasure. Always great having you.
Always great to hang with you, my friend.
Thank you very much. You can check out Joe on Twitter at Joe Rogan.
Me, bitches.
joerogan.com.
.net.
joerogan.net at Joe
There's a lot of
Rogan.
money for it. I'm not gonna give it to you.
Thanks, Joe. Good night. See you next time. Good night, everybody.